Robo, welcome back.
All the diehards.
Yeah, Asu.
So it's fight week. How you feeling? You're looking in good shape. You're looking in good spirits. How are you feeling coming into fight week?
Неделя боя. Выглядишь хорошо. Как себя чувствуешь? Какие ощущения по поводу этой недели?
Все хорошо, альхамдулилля. Main event заряжает, мотивирован. Очень все хорошо сложилось для меня.
Everything good, thank God. This is the main event. I'm motivated, I'm excited, I'm ready to go.
You know, even though it is the Apex, it is still a main event. You know, and you said you're motivated, you're ready to go. Has there been any extra pressure, or is there any extra things that you have to deal with this fight week that have been maybe a burden, or are there things that you're doing this fight week that are exciting since you are the main event?
Хоть это Apex, но ты все равно сказал, что это главное событие вечера. Есть ли какие-то вещи, которые больше давления, может быть, чувствуешь, больше каких-то обязательств, которые тебе нужно делать, или вроде все нормально?
Все хорошо, все отлично, только радует, только рад, что такую возможность. А когда еще, если не сейчас? Вообще все нормально, все шикарно, альхамдулилля.
Everything's good. Everything's great. You know, this is a great opportunity for me. I was given such an opportunity. When else? Why not now? Now is the time to do it. So thank God, everything's great.
Do you recall what you were doing when you got the word of that you were going to be the main event, and what was that like getting that notice?
Ты помнишь, что ты делал, где ты был, когда тебе сказали, что ты будешь в главном событии? Как это все прошло?
Но я утром проснулся и увидел новости, то что Ройвал слился, ну, у него травму получил, да, слился. И потом я сразу группу написал менеджеру, вот, если есть возможность, поменяйте, я буду драться.
You know, I woke up in the morning and I saw the news that Royval must have been injured, so he pulled out of the fight. And I immediately wrote to a WhatsApp group I have with my managers, and I said that I'm ready to fight, and that's how it happened.
And then Manel Kape, I mean, as an opponent, you know, what do you think about him? Where is he dangerous? What sort of things are you expecting from him on fight night?
Какие мысли про Манел Капа как оппонента? Где он опасен? Вообще, как готовишься?
Ну, Манел Капе, как его рекорд показывает, стойкий, опасный, хороший боец. Будем решать эти проблемы в субботу вечером. Постараемся до конца сделать все свое дело на 100%, которое я умею делать, всю жизнь делаю. Так что все нормально.
You know, Manel Kape is a dangerous striker. That his record speaks for himself. This is going to be a puzzle that we're going to try and solve on Saturday. We're going to do our job. This is going to be something that we're doing our entire career. So we're going to go in there and solve that puzzle on Saturday night.
He tends to come out very fast and, you know, likes to get into your face, you know, and he seems to try to dictate the pace out there. Do you think that's going to be the key to the fight, is whoever's able to dictate where the fight goes out there?
Он часто бросается очень быстро с самого начала, он пытается работать первым номером, он пытается диктовать темп, ритм боя. Как ты думаешь, этого стоит ожидать в субботу?
Ну, ожидать надо всего, потому что мы здесь шахматы не будем играть, мы будем здесь драться. Так что я тоже непростой боец, я покажу в эту субботу, то что я готов на 100%. Хоть на какое-то время 5 по 5 или какие-то там 3 по 3. Я выигрываю, у меня 17 побед к ряду, так что я докажу, что я следующий претендент за пояс.
You know, we're going to expect everything from him. We're not out here to have a chess match. We're going to come out there and we're going to bang. We're going to fight. So basically, I'm expecting anything from him, and I'm going to show that I'm also not an easy puzzle to solve. I'm also not an easy fighter to get through. You can look at my record. I'm 17-0. I'm ready for, you know, 5x5 or 3x5, whatever it is. I'm ready to go for anything.
With a nice definitive finish here, do you think this could be enough to propel you into the top 5 of the division?
С отличным финишем в субботу, ты думаешь, что это тебя закинет в пятерочку, топ-пятерочку?
Ну, пятерочку не думаю. Сперва надо с этим боем разобраться. Я хочу после этого уже за пояс драться. Но посмотрим, как UFC решит, как пройдет вообще целом бой. Иншалла, я сделаю, что я умею до конца. А так больше ничего не могу сказать.
You know, I don't know about top 5, but I would love to, with the win, to be the next contender for the belt. But we'll see what the UFC decides. Obviously, they know what they're doing, and I'm gonna go out there and show what I'm able to do, show what I can, and we'll see what happens.
Last for me, your keys to the victory. What needs to happen to make sure they get your arm raised on Saturday?
Какие у тебя ключи к победе? Что нужно сделать для того, чтобы твою руку подняли в субботу?
Сделать надо все, какие будет там, если там иголочные там увижу шансы где-то, что я могу выиграть, я воспользуюсь этим моментом и буду до конца драться за каждый метр, за каждый сантиметр, и чтобы завоевать победу.
You know, I'll have to do everything for that, and even if there's like a needle point chance of me stealing the victory, I will do that. I will do whatever I can, whatever I know. I will fight for every second to make sure to steal that victory.
Thank you, bud, for taking the time. I appreciate it. Stepping in a short notice to the big stage. You're on the poster, the main event, Fight Night, ESPN Plus. A lot of fighters say they want this type of pressure, but is this what you were asking for? And do you like this so much that you're going to thrive and this is what you excel in, that it excites you to say, okay, this is where all eyes are on me and I can show the world what I'm about?
Короткое удавление, но ты в главном событии, твое лицо на плакате, главное событие в UFC, на самой большой платформе. Очень много бойцов говорят, что они готовы к этому и просят это, но потом, когда все попадают, чувствуют по-другому. Как насчет тебя? Ты готов к этому давлению, к тому, что все на тебя будут смотреть, что ты на самой большой сцене? Для тебя это нормально?
Ну, давление — это мое второе имя. Давление создаю только я здесь. А так вообще никаких. Все хорошо. Я чувствую себя очень хорошо. Я давно привык к этому. Я в разных организациях дрался в главном бою за пояс. Такие у меня уже давно прошел этот период, да, сказать. Но UFC первый раз, но также очень комфортно себя чувствую.
Pressure? What pressure? Pressure is my last name. I bring the pressure. So I'm just nothing new for me. I mean, obviously, it's the first time in the UFC, but I've fought all over the world. I've fought in different organizations. I've fought in main events and big cards. So this is something that I'm built for. This is what I need.
That's awesome. I love that answer. Last for me, he has 17 wins out of these, 17 finishes, sorry, out of 20 victories. You're on a 17-fight win streak. Can we pretty much guarantee this is going to be fireworks in the fight of the night?
У него из 21 боя, у него 17 финишей, а у тебя 17 побед подряд. Гарантировано ли, что в субботу мы увидим фейерверк, что это будет невероятный бой?
За свои рекорды я вообще вот не переживаю особо за рекорд и соперника. То, что я выиграл, дальше надо другие там препятствия, другие преграды надо преодолевать. Так что я всегда смотрю вперед за следующим соперником. Ничего не волнует. Я главное, что с чистым совестью отпахал, потренировался. Я пришел, я здесь, я готов, и все.
You know, I'm never worried about my record, 17-0, or my opponent's record, whatever it might be. I don't look backwards. I look forward, right? Every new opponent, every new fight, that's what's important. I know with a clear conscience I can say that I worked really hard, really diligently. I'm prepared. I'm ready to come out and show what I'm able to do in the octagon.
Thank you, and good luck on Saturday.
Салямет Сизбе Асу. Как дела? Давай по главным вопросам наконец пройдемся. Несколько недель назад тебя наконец добавили в UFC 5. Ты сыграл уже за себя?
Most important question is a few weeks ago you were added to UFC 5, the game. Did you play with your character yet?
Я ойнадым. Казах translate good?
По-казахски ответьте, не против?
Но я тебя не пойму.
Все, ладно, тогда на русском. Ну, UFC 5, вот на этом месяце, за 2 месяца очень много чего происходит. UFC 5, но PlayStation. Ну, я как добавили, сразу друзья привезли домой и сыграли. Очень приятно, как говорится, мелочь, но очень приятно. Но не мелочь, это очень нормально порадовало меня. И потом main event, все, что в данный момент происходит, это все нормально. Главное, что я себя хорошо чувствую. Надо теперь доказать, выигрывать.
Yeah, it's been a big 2 months, and as soon as that news came out that I was added to the game, obviously the guys that I know, they came in and then we played character, obviously, and then the main event. And the most important thing is I feel good, I feel ready, and I'm ready to fight.
Ты первый казах, который будет в мейн-ивенте UFC, то есть, по сути, даже Шавката обогнал в этом плане. Пусть Fight Night, но факт есть факт. Ты сказал, что давления не чувствуешь, но не обидно тебе, что это произойдет в Эпексе, и казахские болельщики, которых в Америке довольно-таки много, не смогут прийти на твой бой?
You're the first Kazakh to do the main event in the UFC. You even lapped Shavkat with that thing. He didn't even have a chance to do that. But obviously, this is still the Apex. It's not a huge arena somewhere. Do you think? Do you feel bad that it's not an arena, because there's lots of Kazakh fans in the United States that will not have will not be able to come to the Apex to see you fight?
Ну, в Апексе или на улице, без разницы. Главное, чтобы бой дали. И главный бой, Шавхат, конечно, он большая звезда, чем я. Он герой нашей страны. Мы все наблюдаем, болеем. Он следующий претендент, гарантированный за пояс. Мы в одном клубе занимаемся, в одну страну, один флаг представляем. Так что без разницы. Всегда мы рады. Если кто-то другой на моем месте будет сидеть, возглавлять турнир, если из Казахстана будет, я за него буду сильно болеть. Так что главное, что делаем, показывать.
It doesn't matter if it's in the Apex or outside in the street, as long as there's a fight that I can be a part of and main event. The thing with Shavkat, I'm a huge fan of his. We're teammates. He's obviously a countryman. We represent the same country, the same flag. So he's for sure the next contender for the belt. Whenever that fight happens, he's next in line. And for me, obviously, it's a huge honor. But the way our country works is if there would be anybody else sitting here in my place from Kazakhstan, we would be rooting for him and be really happy for him. So the most important thing is to show hard work, to do your job in the octagon and keep winning.
Манел Кап, твой третий соперник с момента, как мы узнали, что ты будешь биться 1 марта. Насколько сильно это сказалось на твоей подготовке?
Manel Kape is now the third opponent that you were given since you were told that you were fighting on March 1st. How did that affect your preparation?
Ну, до этого я в Таиланде тренировался, а потом в Майами у Генрихофа. Первую тренировку у меня прошел под руководством Эдуарда Базарова, мой главный тренер Дартим. И он как-то готовил меня чисто на спарринги, борьба, все, что происходило, 5 по 5, 5 по 6. Вот так как-то чувствовали, что будет так, потому что я менеджерам сказал, что если Rival или КП снимется, я могу их заменить, да. И как-то РЦК куда-то отправили, и другого соперника, и так сложилось, так что я думаю, лучше не придумаешь.
Part of my training, part of my camp was done in Thailand with Eduard Lazarev, and then the second part of it was done in Kilcliff with Henry Hoof. So when I was still preparing over in Thailand, the way that we trained was hard sparrings. It was 5x5 or 5x6. So somehow I knew that something like this could happen. And I even told my managers, I said, look, I'll be ready to fight if anything happens. And so it worked out the exact same way. And now we're ready. I don't think there could be a better preparation. We kind of knew what was going to happen, so we trained really hard for it.
Но со спортивной точки зрения, тебе с кем было поинтереснее подраться, с Капом, с Эрцегом или с Алоном?
From just sports, from the sports view, who would you be more interested in fighting?
Я бы хотел
Manel Kape, Erceg, or Manuel?
I'm sorry. Я бы хотел вообще, интересно было подраться с Ройвалом, потому что он номер 1, он более интересный. После него, номер одного, первого, когда выигрываешь, уже не будет других, наверное, вопросов. Так что, этот Манел Капе тоже не хуже, вообще не хуже, то что он тоже сильный, очень сильный соперник, так что настраиваемся на него и постараемся сделать все возможное и невозможное, чтобы выиграть.
I'd be interested to fight Royval because he's the number one. He's number one in the rankings. So once you beat number one, there's no questions that you are obviously a number one contender. But I don't think that Manel Kape is any worse. He's a really strong fighter. He's very good. He was going to be fighting for the contender spot. So I think that the most important is winning. Once you're ready to do your thing and win, that's what's important.
И последний от меня, это, наверное, надоел тебе уже. В титульниках во флайвейте происходит, в принципе, что-то странное, дают в том числе бой дебютантам. Ты сказал, что ты надеешься, что следующий твой бой будет титульным. Почему именно ты заслуживаешь встречи с Пантожей, а не кто-то другой?
When it comes to title fights in flyweight division, some crazy stuff has been happening. I mean, there was a debut guy fighting for the belt at one point, and there's a lot of mix happening. Why do you think that you are deserving of a number one contender spot to fight for the title?
Ну, просто у меня сам себе задаю вопрос, почему я не должен не драться за пояс, потому что все подрались, хоть дебютант, хоть не дебютант, топ-10, топ-15, всем дают какой-то шанс, какой-то вот прям, это можно сказать, шанс, да, дебютантам сразу биться за пояс. Почему я не заслуживаю? У меня 4-0, скоро будет еще, если бой хорошо закончится. Это вполне возможно. Это уже я сам себя чувствую на 100% претендентом уже следующим. Те, которые должны были показать себя, все показали, все по одному раз проиграли.
Рахмет.
You know, when it comes to the title fights, it's like I'm asking myself, why don't I get this chance to fight for the title? Why isn't it my turn? Because, like you said, there was a debut guy that was fighting for it. There were guys in top 10 that were fighting for it. There's all these different fighters that got a chance, and all those fighters that got a chance, if you see, they lost, right? So they got a loss on it. I am a 4-0 in the UFC. I'm ready. I'm excited. If I get this chance to fight, I think it should be me and nobody else.
Just one in the back over here. So Manel Kape, he had a really good performance in his last fight. A lot of showboating, and he eventually got the finish. What did you make of his performance, and what do you think about Kape as a fighter?
У него был очень хороший финиш в его прошлом бою, и вообще, в принципе, он как-то чуть-чуть выпендривался, игрался, там, придуривался чуть-чуть в бою, но в итоге выиграл все равно. Что ты о нем думаешь вообще об его выступлении?
Крайний бой с кем он дрался?
Who was the last opponent that he fought?
Silva.
Силва? Я не смотрел просто. Он не с Макаевым дрался крайний раз?
It wasn't Makaev the last fight that he fought?
No, Bruno Gustavo da Silva.
Bruno Silva.
Я не смотрел бой это.
To be honest, I didn't watch the fight, so I'm not sure.
Oh, you didn't watch it? Okay, nice.
Thank you. Алға Қазақстан.
Thank you, bud. Appreciate it. Nah, you're good, bud.
I can grab it?
Yeah, for sure.
Actually, I can grab it. If it's any more, you're allowed to drink it.
Yeah, but I have my water. I just want to make sure.
Oh, okay.
But I'm tracking it. I don't know.
Gotcha. Yeah, you're able to drink whatever you want to drink.
Take a second.
Very attention to detail, Julian.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Well, another. I'm good with it. Okay, cool. Just making sure. All right.
Julian, welcome back to Fight Week. How are you feeling?
Man, I'm golden.
Can you grab the mic? Thanks, buddy.
I'm sorry I'm yelling out there. I'm golden. I'm so excited. This is what I live for, is fight week, fight time. Training's grueling, but fighting's fun.
So everybody always says that the training and the practice is the hard stuff and the fight's the fun part.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, man, waking up every day, 4 or 5 practices a day, battling your friends, not being able to actually go as hard as you'd want to, just 'cause you don't want to injure your teammates. And then now we get to go here, and it doesn't matter. Like, the more you injure your opponent, the more you hit your opponent, the more exciting the fans are, and the more publicity you get.
You know, that being said, you know, the Apex isn't known for the biggest of crowds of fans and stuff, but it's still, do you still feel like you get that same effect when you have a nice solid hit on your opponents here in a place like the Apex?
Absolutely. Here at the Apex, you feel it. You can feel everyone's energy in there, right? So all the fans that are there, even though it's a smaller crowd, you can feel and hear their voices and hear their screams a lot more than when you're in a bigger facility. But it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. You can fight in a barn or you can fight in a stage of 300,000 people. It's all going to feel the same.
Have you fought in barns before?
I actually have fought in a barn.
Tell us the story.
So, but technically, if you look at, like, there's this place in Kansas City, it's like Grain Valley, a little outside of it. It's called Whiskey Tangos. And at the time, it's like a giant, like, industrial style barn with like a bar inside of it. But like, we're talking like, it's
Sounds like a honky-tonk bar.
It is a honky-tonk bar, right? So like, they would always give free tickets. And there's a point in time, like, you can ask many fighters from Kansas City that are OGs, like Laura Sanko, we're going to talk about this. Yeah. But it's like, they didn't even have, like, inside this bar area, there'd be thousands of people in there because they give out free tickets. Their alcohol sales is what brought them the money. Everyone always wanted to do or something because there's nothing else around. So it was this giant, like, warehouse-style barn deal. And they would have the fights in the center, and everyone just gets rowdy, white trash, cowboys, all this stuff. They get rowdy drinking beer. But they'll have like 20, 30 fights a night. And like, if your opponent doesn't show up, they would ask people in the crowd if they wanted to fight and pull people out of the crowd. And man, there's some horror stories. Like, if you sat there and had Laura Sanko and I talk about it amongst some other people, we could tell you some pretty wild stories. I saw a grandfather fight his grandson and win in that facility. Like, wild.
That's
fights.
amazing. Well, I want to make sure we set a date for that. We're gonna sit you. We're gonna get Laura down. And we're gonna get some of those stories. I think that'd be amazing.
Oh, it'd be incredible.
What's your favorite part now? Just in Fight Week, you know, is it coming here? I mean, you're one of the people that seems to embrace media days. A lot of other people don't like getting in front. Nobody really likes public speaking. But what would you say outside of the fun on Fight Night is your favorite part of Fight Week?
Man, I just coming here to Vegas, right? Like, I get to see a lot of my friends. Like, I grew up in this facility, right? I was here right when it opened up. Yep. And I became friends with, you know, even the janitors, the security guards. So when I come back here, it's like I see an extended part of my family. I'm giving hugs to everybody. They all know me. You know, we just had a fighter, Markel Mirdos. He was sitting there, and he was telling our coach, he's like, look, when I went to the PI, I've never met a person that knows so many people like Julian. Like, he was hugging everybody, shaking their hands, and you're just kind of like, what is going on? But that's one of my favorite parts. I get to see the people that they're grinding here, from strength conditioning to physical therapy to the janitors that have to change the towels or clean up after everyone's chaos. Like, and you get to see them and see how they're doing, and then they get that highlight in their face, like, oh, it's been a while since I've seen you, and like someone that actually cares and talks to them. And I treat everyone the same. So coming here is like being back at home.
And it's been a minute since we've seen you, you know, in the cage, but you get Cody as a name. What were your initial thoughts, and you know, what has this time like been away? I mean, it hasn't been all that long, but it's been a little bit since we've seen you. But you get the call of Cody, you know, I guess just give me your thoughts initially on him as a matchup.
Yeah, when we first got it, like, I was sitting there like, oh, we used to train together, man. Like, what are we doing? We don't fight teammates. And then it got there that he accepted the fight, and I found out he accepted the fight, and I was like, okay, that's it. We're here to battle. This is what we are. This is the business we're in. You know, it has nothing to do with the friendship that we have. It has nothing to do there. We both have to fight for our job. So when I got that, I was like, hell yeah, let's go. Got another fight.
Speaking of that sort of thing, I mean, so would it have been better if he had reached out first and said, hey, FYI, you're one of the names that they're floating in front of me, and would that have made it any different, finding out that way from him beforehand, finding out? I mean, do you feel like, because I hear from fighters all the time, you don't fight friends, you don't fight your teammates. Did you feel any sense of betrayal because he didn't talk with you beforehand, or was it easy to switch into okay, I guess it's just business,
Yeah, no, I don't feel any betrayal at all. Like, the opportunity comes to his door, he has to make the judgment, and then our manager comes to talk to us. That's it. Like, it's the business, He owes no explanation. I understand.
Have you guys talked since the booking?
Since the booking, we talked whenever it happened. I asked him, you accepted the fight? He goes, yeah. And I was like, okay. I haven't talked to him since. Like, we didn't really talk prior. Like, after I left, Colorado, we didn't really talk as much. I'd check in on him, congratulate him, stuff like that. But we didn't really talk that much. But he's still a great dude.
Yeah. That being said, I mean, how much does that experience in a training with somebody play an effect, or do you even really think much about that time, or is it more of what you see in his recent fights is the stuff that you pay more attention to, or does any of that training stuff, is it even relevant going into this?
Absolutely not. Like, you can ask any one of my coaches, I'm dog shit in the room.
Yep.
Like, I'm all sitting there methodical thinking, trying to learn new techniques, trying to build stuff, and dude, I'll lose or get tapped out by various types of people because I put myself in situations to grow and to learn and to understand, or I try new things like, whatever combination it is. If I've never thrown it before, I try to do it in there. Well, I don't have the timing right. I don't have the flow right. I don't have majority of that in the correct spot. So when I go to throw it, I'll get caught. And it's like, it's okay. I'm learning. I'm okay with that. So when it comes down to it, like, if you want to use the training, cool, that's fine. This isn't training. Like, I'm trying to educate myself and learn and grow, in the training. And then when it comes to my camp, I'm still doing the same thing, just a little bit harder.
And both of you guys are definitely not afraid to stand in there in the middle and just, throw hands. I mean, do you envision that this is going to be a pretty strike-heavy battle between the two of you?
I envision that he's going to try to get the win any means possible, right? I think he's going to come out there. He's going to try to strike. He's going to go and wrestle when the opportunity's coming. Like, he's a mixed martial artist. But at the end of the day, I know this isn't going to be, a boof or a snooze fest, a boo fest or whatever you want to call it. He's going to come out there and he's going to dish out the same thing that I'm going to dish out. The difference is I'm a fucking dog.
Any extra pressure coming in with a few losses in a row?
Nah, man, it's just like, it's another day. Can't look at the past. What is done is done. It is what it is. At the end of the day, whoever wins on Saturday is going to be the person that advances. The other person's going home.
Last one for me, we were joking and you were talking about earlier, a lot of times when a fighter walks out, that theme song, the music can be either intimidating to your opponent or it can mean something special to the fighter themselves walking out. We know you in the past have walked out to such greats as like Miley Cyrus to have a lot of fun. So what are your thoughts on the walkout song, and do you have any potential hints to what your walkout song might be for this particular event?
The walkout song, so this is a fun fact. Most people don't know this. I don't listen to music. I don't at all. Like, a lot, if you ask me like new stuff or anything like this, like, I don't know anything. I may hear it because I'm riding with somebody and they want to put music on, or if they're riding with me long enough that has to put music on. But I don't like listening to music. So I ask other people, what songs should I walk out to? And they tell me, I'm like, okay, cool. And then I just go with it, right? Like, the music isn't going to do anything for me. Like, if I walked to that cage with no sound, I'd be fine. I can drive, a whole entire road trip with nothing playing all by myself and just be in my own head and have a conversation there.
Fun fact, I think I heard that the UFC will not allow you to walk out to silence. They will at least play like the anthem of where you're from. If you try to go out with no song, they'll play a song for you.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's what I heard.
That would be super intimidating. You just walk out and it's just the sound of everyone breathing. We might be on something right there.
You'd have to put together your own track with that Julian breathing to really get in someone's head.
Oh yeah. Have you ever seen the movie Pootie Tang? Like way back, you remember whenever they had the sound come in, everyone was like, "This is fire!" And there's nothing coming out of the boombox. Dad runs up, turn that loud noise down. That's what we need to bring. That soundtrack, right?
Like just the stop drilling, you've hit oil. That's just $1 million idea right there. Let's go.
Dude, I'm gonna be rich. Take it from the old school movies right there.
Right on, man. You mentioned with Kenny a little bit about this homecoming. And on behalf of everybody who likes violence, thank you for some violent fights. Like we know when Marquez is on the card, you bring it. With the homecoming, has there been any kind of tweaks or changes in the gym to say, okay, let me bring it down one notch? That way I can be a little more calculated. Just because this is a familiar foe, I know sparring and real fight is apples to oranges. But because you've seen the face, you know what you're going up against, and you are at home, if you will. Has this brought a different element to Saturday's fight for you?
You know, that's a really good question. There's many different things that we worked on in this camp. There's many different things that you can assess and be like, oh, he does this, he does that. But like when it comes down to the fight, there's nothing more that you can do than yourself. So you improve on yourself. You can't focus on anything else. You can't focus on the outside noise. You have to know, like, hey, me and him hadn't trained with each other for, I don't know how many years, man, a couple years now. Like, we're two evolved people.
You're not the same guys.
We're not the same. So it's like, I'm going to continue on my path and go and do what I have to do and sharpen the tools that I have in my toolbox and just focus on me because, you know, when I focus on me, I do the best. When I focus on them, I'm not the best.
Yes, sir. And last for me, you got that co-main event slot. So wins, losses, sure. UFC always acknowledges people. How cool is it that they know, okay, before the main guys go on, and this is big, you know, flyweight implications and ranked guys, yada, yada, we got Julian on the card, co-main, to really get people tuning in here.
Dude, when I looked at the card, because I haven't looked at the card. I didn't even know I was co-main. Everyone kept saying that. And then, like, I got here, and they said I was co-main. And I looked at the card, and you see the matchups, and you're like, wow, I got put up there. But they know that I've always been an entertaining fight. Win, lose, or draw. When I got knocked out by RoboCop, guess what? I never took a step back. I got knocked out, but hey, that's cool. The same thing when I fought Barriot. It was entertainment from start to finish, you know? And my last fight, even though I got knocked out, y'all got a knockout. That's what you pay to see, right? That's what we're looking for. It's entertainment, and I'm always going to show up. So I know that they want some highlights. I know that they want something to get the crowd going, whether the people out there want to talk trash on Cody or I. We're out here to do things and to put on an entertaining show. And they put me at the co-main event spot to do that. So I'm going to bring it for them.
Absolutely. I'm sure you'd like an early finish, but are we going to get to see maybe some 15 minutes of hard work, some new tricks up your sleeve we haven't seen before?
We'll find out. You know, I'm not a predictor. You know me. I go for the finish from start to finish, right? I look for it. Whether it's by punches, whether it's by submission, I'm going after it. So if you get 15 minutes of fun, then awesome. If you get 5 minutes of fun, awesome. Either way, it's going to be fun. It's going to be entertaining.
And that's why people tune in to see you, sir. Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you. Is that it?
One in the back over here. Julian, fighters often talk about learning more from losses than they do from wins. What are some of the biggest lessons you've taken away from the past year?
Man, you want to say the past year? Buddy, look at my life, man. The past 3 years have been tough. You know what I mean? Every time I get in, I have a loss. And, like, nothing's more embarrassing than getting knocked out, right? Your first, like, big loss after you're doing stuff and you thought everything was going to go right, and you get the loss of a fight like that in front of thousands and then technically millions when you think about TV. And then you start questioning who you are. And then you go out there and you do everything you can, then you go out and get another loss. and you lose your gym, you lose family members, you're lost in life, and you're just trying to figure out, like, one thing that's for certain is this is who I am, this is where I want to be. Each fight isn't who I am. It's what I do outside as a brother, as a son, as a friend, as someone in the community. That's who I am, not coming out here and performing. So when I started looking at it like that, like, my life is okay if I never fought again, you know, and that started making me realize, like, okay, like, I don't have to have all this pressure on me. I don't have to have anything, because if so happened something tragic happened, knock on wood, I wasn't able to step foot in the octagon ever again, my life is going to be fine. I have an amazing family, a great core group. I've built up a lot of stuff on the outside to where I can live life. Now, it's not going to be as fun as, you know, coming out here and talking to you wonderful people, but, like, it's okay. And just not identifying myself with the fighter. I'm more than just that.
Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you. All right, cool.
Buenos días, Esteban.
¿Cómo estamos?
Gracias por tomar tiempo para hablar con la prensa. Pues obviamente, regresas aquí a Las Vegas, Fight Night, en el Apex. ¿Cómo te sientes? ¿Cómo estuvo la preparación para este duelo? ¿Qué esperamos este sábado de ti?
Te respondo, la preparación estuvo fuerte como lo hago para cada pelea. Me he preparado y entrenado fuerte. Me siento bien volviendo al Apex, ya que en el Dana White Contender Series tengo buen recuerdo de haber noqueado, así que espero que se dé de la misma manera. Como te dije, he entrenado fuerte para dar un buen show y así va a ser.
Cuando te dieron el nombre de Nasrat, ¿qué pensaste? O sea, inicialmente, ok, una linda pelea, llena de acción, un buen oponente, o ¿cuál fue el pensamiento?
No, exactamente como te diciendo vos, yo sabía que iba a ser una buena pelea. Tiene un estilo muy parecido al mío, le gusta el cruce, le gusta ir para adelante. Y yo lo mismo, ¿no? Espero que él dé su 100% este sábado porque yo de verdad estoy listo para dar mi 100%.
Obviamente cuando lo vemos en el papel, son dos peleadores que van hacia adelante, dos trenecitos que van a chocar, pero tenemos que esperar hasta la cartelera principal. ¿Preferirías tú estar más una de las primeras peleas o no importa dónde te pongan, vas a tener la misma acción, el mismo buen desempeño?
Mucho no me importa el orden, la verdad, peleas son peleas y cada pelea hay que dar el 100%, pero me pone contento estar en el parte del Minecart y ser un ante de la coestelar. Me siento como que todo lo que vengo haciendo por detrás está valiendo la pena y me lo están demostrando de esta manera, ¿no? Así que gracias a la UFC por eso también.
O sea que es como si ellos están reconociendo tu fuerte trabajo y así puedes lucir con más ojos. Obviamente en la cartelera principal más gente ya va a ver y...
Exactamente, yo lo siento de esa manera, lo veo así y la verdad estoy agradecido con eso. Cada vez me pongan un poco más arriba. Lo han hecho ya en la pelea pasada con Selhuber y ahora estoy una o dos peleas más arriba de nuevo que esa cartelera, así que me siento contento por ser parte de ese número de la cartelera.
Sí, man. Y finalmente para mí, ¿qué podemos esperar? ¿Cuáles son cómo vamos a poder salir con la mano en alto? ¿Cómo agarras esta victoria este sábado contra un oponente fuerte y duro?
En mi cabeza está el knockout, ojalá así sea. Voy a buscar eso, voy a buscar, como hago siempre, ¿no? Salir a matar o ser matado, una de dos, pero voy a salir a dar todo de mí y entregarlo todo ahí arriba.
Qué bien, man. Pues con esa respuesta, ¿qué más se espera? Por eso tienes tantos fans. Gracias y buena suerte el sábado.
Muchísimas gracias, man.
Esteban, aquí para terminar con español, ¿cómo estás?
¿Cómo estamos?
Ahora que mencionas el tema desde el Hoover, fue una tremenda pelea de la noche. Cuéntame qué remanentes hay en tu mente de esa última guerra.
No, solo buenos recuerdos de ida y vuelta, de dar y de recibir muchos golpes, de que me duele el cuerpo después de esa pelea como 2 meses por la cantidad de golpes que recibimos. Y más que nada estoy contento, ¿no?, de haberlo hecho de esa manera, en ese lugar, enfrente de todo ese público hermoso y nada, quedan muchos buenos recuerdos de esa noche.
Esteban, el atleta argentino es un tipo de mentalidad fuerte. ¿Sabías que esa noche era noche mexicana, era una sede que estaba hecha para México y llegas y arruinas la fiesta? ¿Te sientes culpable o más feliz por ese factor?
Mucho más feliz me siento, obviamente. Lo he dicho siempre, me gusta arruinar la fiesta. Saca el demonio que llevo dentro. Obviamente, ¿no? Me encanta México, me encanta la cultura, me encantó el evento, pero peleas son peleas. Y como lo he dicho, pelear de visitante saca el demonio que llevo dentro y lo he demostrado varias veces. Hasta mis peleas en el comienzo siempre fue lo mismo. Me gusta, me gusta.
Decía Poncinibio que es momento de que UFC regrese a Argentina porque hay un buen nivel en este momento. ¿Cómo te sientes acerca de esa posibilidad y, por supuesto, del nivel que tiene Argentina en este momento dentro del UFC?
Ojalá se cumpla lo que diga Santi, que sea pronto. Hoy tenemos ya 5 peleadores activos en la UFC argentino. Espero que este año se sumen 1, 2, 3 más, si es posible. Pero creo que tenemos buenos representantes para dar un buen show en Argentina. quién dice, no, el año que viene ojalá vaya por ahí.
Perfecto, last one from me. Esteban, ahora que mencionas también el nivel que tiene Argentina dentro del UFC y este deporte, tú dentro de la división, ¿cómo te ves? ¿Cuál es tu plan? ¿Cuál es tu planificación?
Lo he prometido en varias entrevistas anteriores. Este año quiero llegar al top 15, así que voy a entrenar duro y cada peleador que se me ponga enfrente voy a tratar de vencerlo para llegar al objetivo, ¿no? Ojalá este año, ojalá no, lo voy a lograr. Este año voy por el top 15 y lo voy a lograr.
Gracias.
Just a few in English, if possible. It's fight week. How you feeling coming in this week, and what are your emotions going into fight week?
Es la semana de la pelea. ¿Cómo te sientes en esta semana y cuáles son tus emociones?
Me siento muy bien, me siento contento, ansioso. Solamente estoy tranquilo ahora, descansando la bestia para la noche, pero contento de cada pelea. Siempre me siento bien, así que...
I'm happy, I'm excited, I'm waiting for it. This is like the calm before the storm, but I'm ready to do it and I love doing it.
And you get Nasrat as an opponent. You know, where's he dangerous, and what sort of things are you expecting from him come fight night?
Tienes a Nasrat como oponente. ¿Por qué él es peligroso y qué esperas de él esa noche?
Tiene mucha experiencia, tiene mucha más pelea que yo dentro de la UFC. Creo que es un punto a favor para él. Pero tengo mucha hambre de gloria. Tengo mucha hambre de gloria, de brillar y de que mi nombre se escuche fuerte. Así que, más que la experiencia, no creo que haya ventajas, sino las ganas que tenga cada uno.
He has a lot more fights than me. He has a lot more experience in the UFC. But I want the glory. I'm going for the glory. And besides the experience, I want it more than him.
And then just looking, I mean, as you said, the experience is one thing, you know, and that usually comes if you drag them into deep waters. But matching your skill sets up, how do you think your skill set matches up to his, and where do you think that you maybe outshine him?
Hablas de su experiencia y usualmente la experiencia se ve cuando los llevas a aguas profundas. Pero con su estilo y tu estilo, ¿cómo crees que sea ese choque?
Yo creo que va a ser bang bang, como digo, va a haber mucho cruce, mucho intercambio. La verdad no estoy seguro si él va a salir a cruzar o visto en mis otras peleas me va a intentar derribar, pero yo estoy listo para lo que él proponga, estoy listo para el piso, para la lucha, para arriba, para los intercambios. De mi parte voy a buscar noquearlo.
Like I always say, it's going to be bang bang. I am not sure if he's gonna go out and trade, but I am ready for that. I think he's seen my fight, so I don't know if he's gonna go for a takedown or really stand up and try, but I am ready for anything he throws, and I'm going for the knockdown.
And what do you think a win over him does for you within the division?
¿Qué crees que una victoria sobre él haría para ti dentro de la división?
Yo creo que es una pelea que me va a acercar al top 15, o si es que no me mete en el top 15, así que espero que ganarle a él me acerque al objetivo este.
I think a win over him is going to take me closer or take me into the top 15 of the division.
And then lastly, goals for 2025. You know, how many times are you hoping to fight, and where do you hope to finish yourself? You mentioned hoping to get into the top 15 with this, but I guess what sort of goals are you setting for yourself for 2025?
¿Qué tipo de metas tienes para el 2025? Sabemos que quieres entrar al top 15, pero además de eso, ¿qué otras metas tienes para ti en tu carrera este año?
Quiero pelear 3 veces este año. Siempre he peleado 2 veces por año, pero quiero que este año poder cumplir una racha de 3 peleas en el año, cosa que me ayude a mi experiencia y me ayude obviamente más rápido al objetivo que quiero llegar.
I want to fight 3 times this year. Usually fight 2, but I want to do it 3 times this year. And I know fighting 3 times is going to get me to my goal faster that way.
Thank you.
Yeah, you competed on the spear in your last fight, and that was one of the most unique events in UFC history. And there was a lot of talk about fighting spirit on that event, and no one displayed more fighting spirit on that event than you did, earning Fight of the Night. What did that fight do for your confidence, and how's life been since that fight?
Sphere was a great event. It was a very unique event, and sorry, I'm saying it in English, my bad. La esfera fue un gran evento. Fue un evento único y se hizo mucha referencia a la parte espiritual de los peleadores. ¿Qué tipo de confianza te dio ese evento y haber peleado ahí?
La confianza es la misma de siempre, no va por el evento ni por nada, sino haberlo de esa manera, haber tenido ese tipo de performance, me da más confianza en el entrenamiento que vengo haciendo por detrás y reafirmar y a seguir haciendo las cosas como lo vengo haciendo y un poco mejor. Solo eso.
Okay, fighting in events like that gives me the confidence to keep going, a confidence in my training and the challenges I'm going to have next. Just that. It does that for my confidence, fighting in an event of that magnitude.
There's any more?
If I
That's
miss
good.
something, you can ask that question again and I'll... Cool.
That's good.
Gracias, Esteban.
Thank you guys.
my man. Well, welcome back, sir. Long time no
Thank you.
see. Vegas, we got a little, event coming up this Saturday. You're on it. Good to see you there. How's everything? How's preparations? How's Vegas treating you?
Great, man. It was a very good preparation. We prepared. We started in Morocco, and then we finished at TriStar in Canada, and we just came to Vegas a couple of days ago. It's hot, but we're enjoying it. Same thing, different day.
Absolutely, and I'm sure it's hard, and I'm glad you guys enjoy, because that's one heck of a trip to be like different weather climates, acclimating. Does this get tiring at all, or is it part of the process and what you signed up for, so you learn to love it?
Actually, we came to the US 3 weeks ago. We finished training camp in California at Pat Tuner's gym. Thank you so much again. And so we acclimatized. It's nothing. We didn't want to risk anything, so we came well ahead of time.
Is there anything new that we could look for on Saturday training there? Any new tricks? Any little preview you could give us to on what Nas is bringing this Saturday?
This is my 14th UFC fight, and it's a lot of experience. I stopped hyping up too much. Oh, I'm gonna do this or do that. I'm just gonna come Saturday and perform to my best, and I think it's gonna be a great fight.
I definitely do, because on paper, there's no way this can miss. You have two guys that are violent, but also very technical, come forward, and are also gentlemen. When we talked to your opponent, he had nothing but good things to say, and he was excited. What was your reaction when you got that name on the contract and the manager and you were talking?
Actually, I asked for a top 15 guy. Then my manager sent me his name, and I got really excited because first, Esteban, he's the same generation as me, and I think this is the future top 15. You see so many guys there above 36 in the top 15, and we are the next breed. I'm kind of a veteran. This is my, as I told you, 14 UFC fight. This is my 8th year in the UFC. I signed when I was very young, but it excites me a lot because stylistically, this matchup is really, it's very violent, man. And I look forward to Saturday. And I can say the same about Esteban. I like him. He seems like a respectful person. He's a hard worker. He's talented. But Saturday, we're gonna throw some bombs.
Absolutely. Does it make you happy as not just a UFC fighter, but for someone who represents the sport so well, that there doesn't need to be trash talk? You guys don't have to disrespect each other and talk. That people who follow the sport are rewarded with really good fights like this. We saw what he did at the Sphere. We know what you can do. So for sure we're getting fireworks.
I like less talking and more performing, because you see so many hype jobs. Look at my UFC career. This is my 8th year. I fought so many good guys, and it's not my personality to speak like trash talk. I just follow my personality. You see a lot of up-and-coming guys, they try to trash talk. Yes, they are maybe hyped for a year or 2 years, then they disappear like popcorn, For me, it's more about performance because this sport, it's about consistency. It's not about who creates the most hype in the first or second year, 2-3 fights, It's about consistency and longevity. And we don't need to talk like as you told me, my opponent didn't speak a lot because we know how hard the sport is. We work so hard, man, and we just want to perform and show our best on fight day. So no need to, yes, hype is good for the numbers, for the UFC, for the viewers, pay-per-view, whatever, But I think you have to follow a personality and not change anything.
Yes, sir. And you hit on something real important, because this can be here today, gone tomorrow, but your consistency. What have been some of these secrets? Because you've almost been here 10 years. A decade is a long time in one of the hardest careers. What have been some of the secrets to your longevity, to being here, being consistent, getting your hand raised?
I think now I really enter my prime. When I signed with UFC, I just turned 22, a short notice fight in Poland against a seasoned veteran. And first of all, I love the sport so much. I do the sport because I love it so much. I'm really a fan of the UFC. I'm a fan of, I watch even the weigh-ins of random fight nights or whatever, because I really love the sport and nothing has changed until today. And I'm living my dream. I train with the best guys in the world. It's something I really visualized and dreamed of when I was young, And today I'm living this dream. I have the best team in the world. And the longevity and consistency is about dedication. Because first, my goal is not to become the most famous hype job on Instagram or whatever. It's more like getting into the octagon and perform to my best. This is my goal, and this is my love, and nothing has changed. It even increased, And over the last couple of years, a lot of things changed in my personal life, my training as well. And now I really enter my prime. I do my training camps in Morocco all year long. We bring in the best guys. And for this, I want to say special thanks to His Majesty, our beloved King of Morocco, Mohammed VI, for the incredible support, reaching the top of the sport. And I'm looking forward this year to close the year in the top 10 or top 15 for sure.
And I can't wait to see it. And much props and much respect to that. That so many things can change, but that you're still true to yourself and you know who you are. Can't wait for the fight on Saturday. What are the keys to victories? What are the things that you've seen on paper, studied with your team, and said, okay, this is what we need to focus on so that we can get our hand raised on Saturday, ESPN+.
He's a great striker, you know, but I train with the best guys in the world. I fought already some of the best guys in the world, so it's not like something very new to me. I just have to stay focused, you know, and perform to my game plan. Be smart, let emotions out. I train so hard, man. I train all year so hard. We have the best team. My brother, Coach Firas Sahabi, Coach Said Al-Badawi from SB Gym in Holland. We really train with the best guys in the world. For this training camp, for example, we brought in some very high-level strikers from Holland, also from Germany. Enrico Kehl, he's a top 10 lightweight in the world. We brought in Dylan Salvador, guys who fought Buakaw, for example, and even beat Buakaw. We bring in some very, very high-level guys, so we prepare to the best, you know. And in the end, the fight day, everything can happen. But as long as you know that you did your best and you didn't cut any corners, you know, this gives me a lot of confidence. So Saturday, expect a crazy fight.
Man, I can't wait. Well, good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you.
It's incredible you're saying that you're training full year in Morocco. I feel like in years past we would never hear a fighter saying that they would stay in Morocco all year round for training MMA. You know, what was the decision to go there, and how have you seen MMA grow in Morocco since you made that decision?
I think MMA in general, first of all, I think Morocco is really developing, or especially the infrastructure is so good already. Morocco is not on the radar of a lot of people because maybe it's too far or it's North Africa, but it's such a developed country. Like the FIFA World Cup 2030 is going to Morocco. That means something. It's the biggest sport event in the world, you know, between Morocco, Portugal, and Spain. And I think there's a lot of potential as well for the UFC going to Morocco. What we do in Morocco, man, we bring in the best guys, the best kickboxers in the world. They're all Moroccans. And we have a great team. And we really pick the best fighters. For example, for my last camp, we prepared also with my brother Mairbek Taisumov, a UFC veteran. And we brought in some very good high-level wrestlers from Chechnya. Then we brought in some very high-level kickboxers. This is how we train all year long. And then as it gets closer to a fight, we plan a training camp to do it in our second home, Canada, freezing cold, and really focus on the game plan. And man, we're gonna show it on Saturday. I think my last 4 fights I prepared all in Morocco, and this is my longest winning streak in the UFC, especially in a very deep division like the lightweight division. Saturday I'm gonna extend the winning streak to 5.
That's incredible. You know, it definitely sounds like you're bringing a lot of people into Morocco, but are you starting to see local talent in Morocco coming up as well and reaching to these levels?
Yes, the Moroccans, they love sport in general. You see everybody's so active. You see a lot of soccer fields. You see outside gyms. People are really exercising a lot, and you can see a trend that a lot of MMA gyms, jiu-jitsu gyms, kickboxing gyms starting to pop out in Morocco. And I think there's a lot of potential in Morocco because Moroccans, the population is very young. And let's speak about the men. They really like to exercise. So if the UFC opens the door in Morocco as well, I think there's going to come a lot of new fighters also.
That's incredible. What's interesting is, you know, you consider yourself the next generation, you know, but here you are, your 14th fight.
Yes.
There's a lot of fighters that never make it to 14 fights.
Yeah.
But again, when you look at your age, you're 29 now. You started so early in the UFC. Do you still feel, though, you are like the next generation? You don't consider yourself sort of part of the current or previous generation because you've been around for so long?
If I look at the fights getting booked nowadays, most of the guys, they give their UFC debut with 28, 29, 27. And this is my 14th fight, man. I already fought so many good guys. I think it was a very good decision to grow in the UFC because I had so much experience. Look, 8 years, it's such a long time, you know. I learned so much. I fought Drew Dober, Bobby Green, Dan Hooker. I fought so many good guys. I had good and bad in the UFC, and this only make me stronger. Also, my mindset. So many guys you see after losing 1 or 2 or whatever, a couple years, they're not the same anymore. But I feel like I'm reaching my prime now because, as I told you, it's about dedication. It's about love for the sport and a smart team. I feel I have the best team in the world. We have knowledge. We have so much experience from every little aspect in the sport, from kickboxing to the highest level wrestler, jiu-jitsu, and we put it together now.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of guys coming in now are 27, 28, maybe a little bit older on some of the guys. When you came in at 22, now we've seen a couple guys that came in younger, and everybody makes a big deal about how young they are. You were one of those guys at that time when you came in. I think people were talking like, wow, look at this young guy coming in. So is that a point of pride knowing that you were able to come in? You were one of the guys that came in at a very young age. Is that a point of pride that you're still around, but also you were someone they noticed your skill set so early in your career?
Yes, actually, when I signed with UFC, I was the youngest ever European fighter. I was 22 and 2 months, very young. And I think it's a big accomplishment to reach the UFC, But I think it's a bigger accomplishment to survive in the UFC, to be like, really be this guy who can hang with the best guys in the world and not just be here for a couple of fights and then disappear, And this shows also the quality of a fighter to hang or to be in the UFC for a long time. Is a Shark Tank, man, especially this division. You see, like, the top 30, they are all so good. I'm on a 4-fight winning streak. Esteban is on a 3-fight winning streak. In other divisions, for sure, we would be in the top 15 already, But this division, especially the lightweight division, is so deep. And it's a big accomplishment to be in the UFC for so many years, to perform good fights. And it's just a start, man. I'm entering my prime right now.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, maybe it is the fact that the lightweight division is so tough. You're on a 4-fight win streak, and you're not even in the top 15. But with a win here, you would got to think that one of you two is going to break into the top 15, whoever wins this fight. You got to think.
I think so too. Skill-wise, for sure. He's a top 15 guy. I am a top 15 guy. Also, my last opponent, Jared Gordon, he's a top 15 guy, But also, you can see there are so many older guys in the top 15 in the lightweight division. I think for sure a couple of names going to disappear from the rankings the next 1 or 2 years because how long they want to fight, Especially for this division, you have to be a little bit younger. It's not like the heavyweights. They can fight until 45. And you're going to see a lot of change. After Saturday, I hope to reach the top 15, enter the top 15.
That would be amazing to see. And I guess outside of entering the top 15, what other goals are you setting for yourself in 2025?
Being active, First of all, my fight on Saturday, then we're going to enjoy the holy month of Ramadan in Morocco with my family. And after this, we're going to plan. I don't like to think too much ahead, I'm going to focus on a good opponent on Saturday. And after this, we're going to plan.
Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nasrat, you spoke about being in Canada right now in the freezing cold. You become an adopted member of Montreal, training at TriStar. So when that event got announced at the Bell Center, did you think about wanting to fight there?
Of course, it excites me. Me and my brother, we went to Canada and TriStar so many times, 12, 13 times. Even before I went to the UFC, we started training with Coach Firas Zahabi 2016. It's almost 9 years. But it's so cold, man. and actually, I'm not seeing a lot. I didn't see a lot of the city because when I go to training camp, I'm not really hanging out or whatever, just from training to hotel, rest, But for this May 10 excites me, but it's too close after Ramadan, after this fight. So I like to enjoy watching. There's actually a big fight coming up for our brother Ayman Zahabi against Jose Aldo. This is a fight I'm looking forward to.
Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Manel looking sharp. Is that your own label there?
Huh?
The MM, is that stand for your name or something cool?
No. It's not my label. It's Amiri.
Oh, but it'd be cool if it was. You could have lied to me. I wouldn't know any different. So it's fight week, man. How you feeling?
I feel good. Feel amazing. I'm happy to be here in this position and ready to enjoy.
Now, a lot of times we know it adds extra pressures and things. There's media days like this. I'm sure there's extra stuff that you have to do as the main event. But do you welcome that sort of stuff? Do you like being in the main event and you like being in this sort of extra added pressure?
Of course. I'm a very passionate person, and I really believe that this moment will come one day. And the feeling what I have right now is a familiar feeling. I kind of feel that I've been made for this moment, and I'm just really enjoy. I know this day will come, and I'm gonna put a good performance Saturday night, and this is gonna be the first of many events.
What sort of thing, when you know that you're waiting for this day to happen, is it inner dialogue that you just tell yourself, keep moving forward, this day will come, when big main events happen, or is it just one of those things that you go to training, you do the effort, and you know that big events and big main events are just a thing that just sort of happens?
In my mind, always I put a lot of work. I push myself very hard, and I just believe that wins will take care of everything. So when you win the way I win, it's open the doors, big doors, and big opportunities like that. So, yeah, that's what I ask for myself. That's the pressure I put to myself, and things being happen the way I want and the time I want. Not on my time, only on Allah time, and I'm grateful.
You have an opponent, and then your opponent drops out and you get another short notice opponent. How does that affect the whole process?
The only thing that affects is just the weight of the way of the fighters. I suppose fight Brandon Royval. He's a taller guy. I was expecting work a lot of the body works, the shots, because I don't have to reach too much his head. But against Asu, he's more short guy, so his head's gonna be there. He's a target, and his shin's gonna there, the nose gonna be there. So I predict it's gonna be a very bad blood, and there his face gonna be a bunch of blood on Saturday night because he's short. So he's a good target, for myself.
Do you still see this as being the number one contender fight, like whoever wins?
Of course. Brandon pull out, Brandon pull out, winning against Brandon Royval. I would be the number one in the ranking. It's not my fault. I'm here doing my job, and again, Davison Figueiredo pull out, Alex Perez pull out. Bontorin pull out, Kai Kara France pull out, all these fighters being pull out. I've been doing my work, So after the Asu, 100% I'm gonna get my title.
When you think about Saturday, what are your keys to the victory? What needs to happen to make sure they get your arm raised?
The key is gonna be the conditional. If you all guys see the fight, Asu is a good fighter. But he's not made for 5 rounds. Every fight he fought, and he go to the 3rd round, his conditions go badly. He's not the same guy from 1st to 3rd round. His conditions just show very reckless. He's weak. I'm gonna take advantage on this part. And the small cage, they cannot run. I'll be there, precious, and I just believe this fight is all in my terms.
You say a lot of your fights all end round 1, round 2. You're not even seeing this going into the championship rounds.
No, I want this gonna be a long night because After that, is only the heart and techniques that's gonna show, you know. And when the fight extend a lot bit more, I can show more myself. I can show more my skill, like I did the last my performance. And I was just getting better. Every rounds I getting better. You guys can see my fight against Pantoja. I win the third round. So if it was a 5 rounds fight, I'll definitely beat him. You know, every fight going to the third, always I knew I'm gonna win. You know.
Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time. With this being a main event, then from what you just alluded to, does that make you more comfortable to where you can for sure say, look, if it does go further and we're putting in these hard rounds, the 4th and 5th, that are a completely different level, is this where you really get to shine and say, like, look, there's not going to be any doubt, there's not going to be anything close, like this is where you guys can see me show out and really take that energy from Florida and make people really know my name and ask for me to be given that title shot?
Yes. Sorry. I asked for 5 rounds. That's for me was like very happy. You know, I can't complain about this because I know what type of fighter I am. You know, I never like to fight 3 rounds. So 5 rounds for me is really perfect. Even if I was not a main event, I would like to ask for a 5 round fight because that's my type of the style of the fighter. You know, I like to steal the first round and then I like warm up and then get ready and I'm show myself. I feel comfortable. I feel my body flow and everything. So. Like I said before, this fight is going to my terms, and I will take advantage of everything. And whatever mistakes it's gonna make, believe me, I'll be very, very attentive and make him pay.
Yes, sir. And I love this fight. Everybody does, because you have 2 top 10 ranked guys in the UFC. It pretty much just screams 5-round fight. But at what point does it get just a little frustrating with so many changes in opponent? Or does it matter at this point how many guys pull out, change the name, as long as you show up?
The matter is the policy of the rankings, because like myself, honestly, I don't give a damn. Because when I fight in Australia and Kakara pull out, I fought a newcomer. You know, I fought a debut. Someone in my position not would take that, make that risk, you know. So when I accept these kind of fighters, the message, what I want to show, the deeply message I want to show to everyone is that I fight with whatever I want, with everybody, you know. Doesn't matter, you are a newcomer, you're number 8 or number 7 or number 1. I will accept fight you. You know, if you show up, you know, I will fight you because I'm a fighter. This is what I do. You know, this is what represents to be a champion mentally, and what represents and the deep message is that I trust myself. I have a confidence on my game. You know, there is no doubt if you are a newcomer or whatever you want. I'm gonna fight you. You know, if UFC put it in front of me, I'm going to fight because I trust myself and I knew I'm better than you and I'm going to do better than you.
I appreciate that. And I respect that a lot because you'll see guys and girls kind of want to protect that ranking, say like, hey, it's a great business point to say, but you're fighting back a guy.
Yeah. And always I'm going to fight it. Doesn't matter what happened in my training. Last my opponents, they being pulled out because they get a knockdown in the training, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and they didn't show up. I had so many injuries, I couldn't pull out, you know, but I only gonna pull out if I couldn't not go walk, if I can't breathe, if my bones don't let me fight. But if I still healthy, if I still walk in my head, definitely I'm never gonna pull out.
Awesome. And last for me, 20 victories, 17 finishes. Amazing. without giving too much away, how do we make it 18 this Saturday? 18 finishes out of 21 wins.
This Saturday is gonna be the patient. The patience is gonna be the key. I hope it's gonna be a long night, you know. But if Asu make any mistake, first or second round, I'm gonna take advantage. I'm gonna finish him. But I want a long night. I'm gonna prove you guys what I'm talking about.
Can't wait to see it. Good luck on Saturday, sir.
Manel, you're coming off an incredible performance in Tampa, and you got a lot of respect for that fight. One of the guys that gave you a lot of respect for that was Israel Adesanya on his YouTube channel, Freestyle Bender. He gave you respect. Just curious, did you watch that, and what did you think of that, just given the past that you guys have had?
Of course, he understood the game. He's a skiller guy. He's a former world champion. And when we see something good, you don't need to like the person, but you have to respect the game, you know. And as myself, for me, he's a big inspiration. He's the former champion. He accomplished many things, and of course, he's a great champion. And they have the vision to see who is good or is not good, you know. So that's normal, a normal compliment, you know. You cannot deny. Sometimes you become too good that they will talk about you.
Yeah, and just speaking about that last fight, Almabayev was in here earlier, and he said that he didn't even watch that fight. Do you think that's a mistake, and what do you make of that?
Did you believe that?
I never believed that.
Do you believe that?
I don't.
Yeah, I don't think so too. He want to protect himself, you know, from that pressure. He want to protect himself from the skills. These guys being out watch all these prelims fights. Do you don't think that they do watch my fights? You know, he just want to protect himself. He want to protect his pressure on his shoulder, but he knows the skills, and you're gonna watch me in front of him.
100%. All right. Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Welcome to Fight Week. How you feeling?
Feel good, man. Happy to be back. It took a pretty long break for me, and I'm excited. I think you're always excited, but I'm happy, so that's important, I think.
Was the break a planned thing, or was it anything else that just sort of kept you away for a little bit?
Well, I fought 6 times in 14 months. From the time I made my debut to my last fight, I think me and Kevin Holland were the most active guys in the UFC. And I think sometimes, you know, the way to get out from a loss is to just push it and go find a win. And then other times maybe you need to pull the reins a little bit, take a little break, get physically, mentally right, and decide, you know, is this what I want to keep doing? And it was good, man. I have good people around me. They're like, hey, let's chill 6 months to a year. I think it's been 8 months since my last fight. And I really dove into coaching for those first few months and got to travel with some guys, and that was really important and good. And, you know, like I said, it's put me in a good place mentally, physically to come back and hopefully have a great performance.
I'm going to say a lot of times, you know, we know that the physical is one of the things, but it seems like the mental is almost the most important factor that you need to have in check going into a fight. But you feel, if anything else, that time away, you were able to kind of clear the head and just think of other things?
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, like there's no balance in your life when you're in camp. So, like, being dad, being husband, being those things, it's hard to check those boxes and have a camp. And 6 fights in 14 months, you're never out of camp. So I'm lucky I have a great support system. My wife, she fought in the UFC, so she gets it. But it was good to get back to, checking some of the boxes at home and fulfilling some of those values and just letting my head rest. Concussions are for real, and I think sometimes we try to jump back on the horse too quick, but I took time off, and I feel better than I ever have. So I think it was good.
And a lot of times with concussions, like you said, that's a very, very serious one, and sometimes the effects of it last longer than most people think. So when you get into the training camp, what sort of things do you change because of that? Is it less heavy sparring? Is it less this or that? I mean, how do you approach training after that fact?
So I have a great neuro team, Barrowis, Colorado, and so it's just doing a lot of extra work. We train our muscles and strength and conditioning. We train our cardio. We train our skills in MMA, but very little of the time do we train our actual brain. And so we just focused on that, some light work, some things like that I feel like have helped me bounce back. But concussions are a serious thing, and if you don't address them, they're just going to add up and continue to be a problem. So I'm glad we addressed it, and I feel great.
When we talk about training, Julian's a guy that you've trained with before and that you've had a history. How much of that plays into a fight? Or is the fact that you guys train ever at any point, at some point in the past, is that even relevant in a current fight situation?
Yeah, Julian, I would say Julian's a friend. We're not best friends, but we're friendly, and I don't wish anything bad upon Julian. We're both in a spot where you can't say no, right? Like I'm on the last fight of my deal. He's on a 3-fight losing streak, so when the UFC calls, you got to say yes. And I don't know how it's going to affect. I've never fought someone that I trained with. I would imagine that he's comfortable with kind of knowing what I'm going to do, and I'm comfortable knowing what he's going to do. And we'll see how it plays out on fight night. We train together for an extended period of time, so I feel like we both know what we bring to the table, and I think it'll be a good fight.
And he kind of mentioned that as well, that it's you guys are friends, but it's nothing personally. It's just business. You can just kind of switch things off. But I guess that kind of alluding to like what you said there. So the UFC came with you and said, hey, and presented the name. It wasn't like you were like, who should I fight? How about Julian?
Right.
So the UFC came to you with that name.
Yeah, they offered it, and like I said, there's not a long list of options. It's like, hey, here's who you have, and do you take it or don't take it. Originally I was supposed to fight Ryan Loder. For whatever reason, that fight fell out, and then they came with Julian, and so we made it happen.
And when you look at Julian, like we said, outside of what you've seen in training, where's he dangerous, and what sort of things do you see him bringing into this fight?
Julian's a tough dude, man. He comes forward. He has power. He does a good job switching stances. He has good submissions, tricky submissions from the front headlock series. And more than anything, like I said, he's tough. And I feel like if people on paper look at this fight, they're going to say, Cody has some skills. He performs well. And then when he becomes the nail, he has a hard time being the nail. And Julian is great at being a nail. And then he beats a lot of people by being the nail. And so I feel like the narrative maybe is Cody's going to break and Julian's going to maybe go through the storm and beat him. And it's my job to prove that I'm not going to break, right? But we just got to wait till fight night to make sure that happens.
Yeah. And like you said, after taking a break and then, now getting back in there after dealing with concussions and just time away and just dealing, is a win enough to feel like things have been righted, or do you really need like a definitive sort of like, here I am back, the ship has been righted?
Yeah, I don't really give a fuck about the result. I think I put so much pressure on myself for a result before I took this break, and it was like, man, I'm chasing this result, and it just wasn't working out. And then when I did win, it was like, man, I feel really good for like an hour, and I'd be like, fuck, I get to do, my reward is I got to go do this against somebody better, in 3 months. And so when I put it on result, it just wasn't fulfilling. And so it's more just, fighting brings me joy. It's my passion. It's what I love to do, whether I'm coaching, training, fighting. And it took me a minute to find that again. And I'm just happy, man. I'm in a really good place. I'm happy to be back in the cage. I haven't felt that in a long time. I feel like there's always excitement, but I have real happiness, real joy to get back in there and continue the streak. I've been fortunate that I've had guys like Yusuf Zalal bring me with them for their fights to corner him, Dustin Jacoby, David Onama, and we've been on a hot streak. And being around those guys, I think the biggest thing I learned is like, hey man, you're not alone in the feelings that you have and the worries and the concerns, and just trying to pick their brains and see how they deal with it and then apply it to myself has been huge. And I'm excited to show the improvements come Saturday.
That's incredible. It's great to hear where your head's at, and not to dwell on the past, but when you said you were mentioning before, like, is this still fun? Do I want to still do that? How close were you to a point where you're like, You know, is it a matter of a conversation with loved ones? You're like, am I that close to being done, or how close were you to possibly ending your fighting days?
So I was done. I was not gonna fight. That first month after that fight was rough, man. I was in a very bad headspace. I'm not gonna get too much into it, but it wasn't good. The people around me know where I was at, and it was a thought-out decision. It wasn't like you lose a fight and you're like, man, I'm done fighting. It was like, hey, over this month, like I don't know if the consequences are worth it. And then I was kind of letting a lot of people on the outside steal my joy. Not like people that I know, people that I don't know, right? And I think that was a problem. That was an issue I had to work through. But then my coach, I think, you know, Coach Mark, he's been in the game a long time, and I think he knew that I wasn't really done, that I had more to give, but he just had to keep me around the sport. And so he was like, hey, I want you to come be a full-time coach. I want you to coach our team. And so I took on the coaching role for about 3 months. And then, you know, I kind of want to get back to training, get in there, kick it with the boys, you know, and it was fun. And then I was like, man, maybe if they give me a good offer, right, like I'll say yes. Maybe I'll come back and do it again. And coach was like, yeah, you know, we'll see if that's what you want to do. He wasn't like pushing me or anything. And then they called me with Ryan Loder, and I was like, man, I like that matchup. I think it's a great matchup, and I miss it. I want to get back, and I want to get back for me. I don't want to get back for any other reason. I just want to get back because it's something I love to do. It gives me purpose. And you know, then I sat down with my wife and my coaches and my friends, and they're like, hey, man, you have a lot to give. You have a ton of talent. Let's just see where we can take this thing and enjoy it. And if after this fight, I'm like, man, I'm good, then I'll be good. And if not, I'll continue to fight. I'm not looking crazy far in the future. I just am in a spot where it's what I love to do. It brings me a lot of happiness, and as long as it does that, I'm going to continue to do it.
That's great to hear, because I feel like we see other fighters and other people get to that situation where they balance that and they're trying to figure it out. And I'm glad you found your reason. And I know every fighter needs to find their own reason and to why they want to get in there. But I guess if there was a fighter, if there was somebody that was on the fence maybe and they were down and out, what sort of thing would you tell them, or what would be your advice to maybe push them to maybe find a way, or maybe find their why as to get back in there?
Yeah, I think maybe step away from where you're at. Like if you're going to the gym every day and trying to figure it out, it's going to be tough. Like be away from it and realize, man, do I even miss this shit? Do I even miss it? Because if you don't miss it, it's a pretty good indication that you don't want to do it, right? And I think removing yourself from result is huge. You know, we talked about it a little bit already, but when you put your hopes and dreams on the result, it's not going to work out a lot of the times. Even when you win, winning's a lonely place too. So I think don't focus on the result, and if you need to step away, actually step away. You see a lot of fighters like, man, I might be done, I might be not done, and they're kind of half-assing training, and they're in the gym, but they're not in the gym, and it's like, man, you got to get all the way away from it and decide, like, is this what I want to do or not?
Yeah, and I know you're not one to put a lot of pressure on yourself for this, but I guess just looking at this fight, you know, Saturday night, I'm sure it's played out in your head multiple ways. What are the keys to the victory for you to get your arm raised? What needs to happen on Saturday to get that W?
You know, I've been looking at it like 15 one-minute fights. I feel like sometimes a 15-minute fight can be overwhelming. It's hard to be courageous for 15 minutes, but it's not hard to be courageous for a minute. And I think fighting's a scary thing. Anyone who tells you different is lying, and it's an ego thing, but fighting's a scary thing. And I think 15 one-minute fights, if you win 8 of them, you win the fight. So kind of letting the fight happen on my timing, not rushing things. I've gotten into some trouble because I want to get out of there so bad because I'm scared, right? I'll be honest. I get scared. I'm like, even when I'm having success, I've had fights where I've had tons of success and then I'll lose because I'm trying to get out of there chasing a finish. And I think just letting it happen, man, and having joy to be in there takes away a lot of that fear. And so that's what I look forward to doing on Saturday.
Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thanks, man, for taking the time.
Yeah, for sure.
And by the way, on behalf of everybody, like, because we get to see you guys' wins, losses, mistakes, $50,000 bonuses, blah, 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 that it's all on TV.
Yeah.
You know, you'll never know when I messed up. You get to see it on the biggest stage. So thanks for being so transparent.
Yeah, definitely.
And honest, man. I see you. And if anything, you mentioned we're not talking about the bad and the bad headspace. We're moving right past that. But can we shout out the people who were there that gave you that inspiration, and the family that made you feel good again? And you're like, man, I do have the right people around me. Like, I know I do.
Yeah, so my wife is, you know, she's a rock star. I've kind of talked about my daughter, my oldest daughter, Kingsley. Sorry.
Is that the K, the iced out K?
Yeah. So she has a super rare genetic condition, and I've talked about it before, but it was crazy. Like, we got this fight, and She's in intensive therapy. She's 4 years old. She's in intensive therapy, like all the time, 4 hours a day. Like if any of you guys have kids, getting a toddler to do anything for 4 hours a day is hard. Getting a toddler to do work for 4 hours a day is damn near impossible. And I wasn't really able to be there for a lot of it because I was in camp. And I'm just fortunate that my wife, she's a rock star and she crushed that for us. And it makes it easy to not bail on training when your daughter has to go work. She's in fight camp too, and I see her going, and I'm like, man, I don't really want to go to the gym today. And I just look at her, I'm like, well, she can't say no, so fuck it. I guess I got to go make it happen. But yeah, and then like my coaches, my team, I just have such good people around me, man. And if it wasn't for them, like I don't know where I'd be at right now, to be honest, and it wouldn't be a good place. So, yeah, I appreciate you guys.
Yes, sir. It's a beautiful thing. The wife, you, baby girl, it's just a fighting family.
Yeah.
My gosh. And now we're coming back. How cool is it? And I mentioned this with Marquez, that we know this is going to be a banger. Everybody knows it. Internet knows it. UFC knows it. We know it. But they put you guys on the co-main. Let you know, like, hey, man, wins, losses, whatever. We got ourselves a heater this weekend.
Yeah. I think, if you'd asked me that like 6 months ago or a year ago, I would have been like, oh, it's no big deal. I don't care. But I do care. I'm glad I'm co-main. I'm not going to apologize to anybody. I know people have issue with it, but I'm glad I am. And like you said, it's because people know we both come to finish the fight. We're going to meet in the middle, and someone's going to go to sleep. I mean, that's just what's going to happen. We're both finishers, and this is my 11th fight in the UFC. I'm young in the sport. I only got in the UFC in 2021, so it hasn't been a ton of time, but I feel like I'm a vet, and so I've earned that spot, and I'm happy to go perform and put on a great fight.
Being a vet like that, because Marquez has kind of a homecoming. They know my contender series, yada, yada, yada. But the veteran thing, how is that like? You can't put this on your resume, if you will. That you only know the secrets. But what are the things that kind of you bring that we won't ever know about as a veteran? Like the little tricks, the little controlling your breathing, fighting the demons, like kind of like quieting just the noise.
I think the biggest thing is a positive thing is just being present, man. It takes you a long time to figure out how to be present. I don't regret any of the results in my fights. Shit happens, man. Fighting's fighting, but there are moments that I regret. I regret, being at UFC 300 and not being present and being like, man, if I beat Bo Nickel, like what's going to happen next? Like what does this do for me and my family? And I didn't even get to enjoy the greatest card in UFC history that I was lucky enough and privileged enough to be a part of. And so, like, I just won't ever do that to myself again. Fighting in the UFC is a privilege. Getting to be here is something I never thought I'd be able to do. When I was an 18-year-old kid watching it on TV, and if you would have said, Cody, you're going to be in the UFC, you're going to have multiple fights in the UFC, you're going to have wins, you're going to have performance bonuses, I'd have laughed in your face because there's just no way I really believe that. But I'm here now, and I'm grateful, and I'm thankful that I get to be here. And, yeah, I'm excited, man. Co-main, it's awesome.
Let's go. I'm already hyped up for this one, but let's make this your UFC 300 on Saturday.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate you, brother.
I mean.
Thanks, guys.